All right, so we have here Nadia Blest and we have Mr. Ace Michaels here with me today. We are following up behind the podcast that I recorded earlier. Of course, she would bust out laughing right now, right?
I
Can you
know,
imagine?
right? I thought that was part of your intro. I was like, damn, that's kind of tight. He's got like a own little audience in the background. Damn,
We
girl.
can we can edit this out, right?
No,
No, this sucks.
it's
But
okay.
anyway, no, it doesn't. So anyway, we're following up on the podcast that I had earlier when I was talking with my girlfriend Candace, and we were talking about therapy. We were talking about homosexual lifestyle. We were talking about traveling the world. We were talking about we were touching on a few different topics. And Mr. Ace Michaels here feels like he has something he would like to add when it comes to the
You
homosexualizing.
damn right. I got something to add. No, I'm playing. Yeah,
Now,
listen.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Now, we had see, this is a special type of podcast. Hey, Brooklyn, I'm gonna need you to keep it down in there, okay? All right. Anyway, so Mr. Ace Michael feels like he has something he wants to add in when it comes to males and females jumping into relationships for convenience and for the roof over the head and whatnot. I really have never come across a female who does this type of stuff. Maybe when I was younger. So he begs to differ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, Mr. Ace. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, first off, in the economy that we're living in for these past few years, a lot of couples end up living together. I'm a photographer, I'm a producer, so I work with a lot of young models, young music artists, want to be entrepreneurs. And what happens on both ends of the spectrum is I find a lot of guys moving in with their girlfriends, what I feel prematurely, like you just met this girl. Why are you moving into her house with her or her apartment? Cause man, we in love. And it's like, yeah, but that doesn't define love. Now, in my personal situation, I moved out of my mom's house when I was 15 and a half years old. For most of my life, I've had my own apartment. The hardest time I've ever had with having my own place has been in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for 6 years. And in the 6 years I lived in Vegas, 3 of those years I lived with a girl in her house. So it was definitely her house. I was the one staying. And in the last 3 years since that, I've had my own home. I've had my own apartments. And girls that I date, they always, in Vegas, they always come trying to live with me. Like, I had a girl I was dating. They start off with the garage. She was like, hey, can I put this in your garage until I get situated? I was like, sure, why not? I don't mind. And pretty soon, I swear to God, the garage was full of her stuff. And then, of course, she was coming over and staying for like the weekends, or sometimes she'd come over and stay a couple of days. So then the refrigerator started getting full of her stuff too. And it was like, why do I have these products in my refrigerator? I don't even eat this. Oh, because she's going to be here Friday. So I guess she wants to keep this until she gets here. Plus the garage is full of her stuff. And so it was only a matter of time before she was like, I'm looking for a place to stay. We got to move out of this place. Because she and her kids needed a place to stay. And she's already got her stuff in my garage. We're already sleeping together. So she's like, could we stay here? And it was awkward because I already had 2 other people roommating that were renting rooms. So it was like, really?
See, that part to me, if you go to somebody's house and you clearly see they got a full house, I mean, what gives you the impression that we need somebody else coming up in here? Let me not be so mean.
Well, not
mean.
when you're what you call them, hobosexual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, when you're a homosexual, you ain't. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I keep it 100. I had to stay at my girl's house, and let me go back a step.
But see, let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Let me just explain the difference, though.
Okay.
Okay. there's situations where, you know what I'm saying, somebody may need help, getting back on their feet. And there's a level of gratitude. There's a level of, I promise you, baby girl, when I get on my feet, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And then you kind of bounce back. You kind of like, you're there for each other. But there's a whole cluster of fucking men, of guys, of those male, let me stop. There's a cluster of people that go around and they just use people.
Well, I
For
agree with
the
you. I've known those
convenience
people.
of the home and the security and really have no intention of marrying this person, of becoming a better person for that person. Never have any intention of getting on their feet and being, you know what I mean, like keeping it 100.
Well,
And a lot of that sexual stuff comes from having like fucking habitual lying problems.
I totally agree. Like the girl you and I know together was with the guy when I met her, and she was living.
Disclaimer, I don't know anybody you know. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
you know somebody I know. You know somebody I know. You know several people I know actually, because there was a guy that you know that I know, and
Put your dang
same thing.
phone on mute. Get out of my screen, kid. Bye. No, you better go somewhere. This is the most genuine podcast ever. Get the hell out of my living room. I'm so sorry. We're
That's
going to
okay.
have to really talk about it if we're going to publish this, but go ahead.
Okay, that's okay. But anyway, there was a situation where I knew a young lady who was living with a guy when I met her, and she was staying on his sofa. And I thought, being the cavalier guy that I am, well, if she's interested in me, that's all going to change. And then she ended up just basically shacking with me until she found the next shack situation. And it happens for guys and for girls. But I think that the thing that's happening in our economy these days, in last year, 2019 to 2020, is a lot of couples, even married couples. There's a lot of people who are getting married and thinking, okay, we're going to need to live together, because we just got to. Even during their engagement period, they're like, we got to live together. It's a reality for couples nowadays because it's hard financially. But finding a person who just couch drifts from couch drifting to couch drifting, that's a different story. And especially someone, like I said, I've had it a lot in Las Vegas. No more places than Vegas, really.
That's very true.
I've had girls that I met for the first date for dinner, and they're like, hey, who do you bank with? And I'm like, what? Because we're going to have to get an account together, baby. No, we not, baby. We're not getting an account together. Like, seriously, this is serious thing that happened. I had a date, like it wasn't a date. It was like you and I saying, hey, let's meet up at this place and have some drinks and chill out. Okay. And you and I can go and do that. That's not a date, right? But if you show up, first off, I got to pick you up. So I pick you up in my car to take you to this non-date. And as soon as we get into the place, you're like, yo, Ace, I need to go buy a drink. What, can you give me some money to go get a drink? Why would I give you money to go get an alcoholic beverage? Are we on a date? Okay. So I give you that money to go get the drink, or I order the drink for you, right? When you come back, you sit right next to me, shoulder to shoulder, and you're drinking the drink. Then the dance music comes on, and you want to get on the dance floor and dance belly to belly. To me, this has become a date. So I told that girl right there, I stopped. I said, look, let me explain something. I'm not buying drinks, and I'm not going out here and dancing like this, like unless we're on a date. And we never really specified that we were going out on a date, but I'm not buying dinners and drinks if I'm not on a date. That's not, if I did, I would offer that. I would say, hey, Nadia, it's my treat. You want to go out Friday night? I got us. Pizza and chicken.
You know what? Now that you say that, I noticed a lot of the times in Las Vegas. That very issue right there. It's like you want to invite them, like, hey man, you want to go out for lunch? You want to go out? Like, I really mean, like, do you want to pay for your lunch and I pay for my lunch?
Right.
And we go to that. I didn't say, hey man, I feel like feeding you right now, so I just wanted to invite you out, and I just want to feed you. And then it's just like all of a sudden we get there and they just looking at you stupid, like,
Right.
you asked me if I wanted to come out. Yeah, nigga, because you should have some money.
Exactly. Otherwise, why would you be going out? Yes, exactly. I had
Yeah,
a
people in
gal.
Vegas tend to have that take care of me attitude, and
I had a
and
gal
the
that
people.
every time we wanted to go on a date, every time she had no money. Which, okay, let me again take a step back. If I'm a boyfriend, okay, I really would never ask a girlfriend for rent money because I don't think that's cool, and I wouldn't want a girlfriend asking me for rent money. If we're in this together, then we're doing
That's the
it together.
problem.
That's what
That's the problem.
but that's what I feel. If I've got a place and I move you in, I'm gonna say, listen, I'm not expecting you to pay rent because I'd have to pay rent either way, whether you moved in or not. So I'm paying the rent. If you want to help out, help out. And if you claim to love me enough to want to live with me, you should already be helping out. You should already be
You
in the
know,
mindset to help
I
out.
agree. I agree
That's
to an
it.
extent. I agree to an extent. I agree. I say, like, first of all, you got to earn getting put on this lease with me,
Right.
for starters. And I think that we tend to soften up every time we like somebody. Like I was telling my girlfriend earlier, girl, we have so much power as women, and the minute somebody makes us smile, we just hand it over. And it's just one of them things where it's like you have to earn. We gotta stop just jumping into relationships and allowing somebody to come live with us, not knowing where they're coming from, not knowing how they even get along with their parents, their mother, their siblings, not knowing any of their background, and expecting them to just know how to adult. First of all, if that person is living on other people's couches and whatnot, clearly they don't know how to adult. Clearly they don't know how to pay no fucking bills. Clearly they have not no home training. Because if you're meeting somebody in your age bracket that has to stay with you, there's a problem. There's a but I've been that person where I've had to stay with other people. You know what I'm saying? And I've had to be like, Nadia, this is a problem for you, not for anybody else. Like, you can't expect anybody else to take you in and give you their home, because let me tell you something. You could say, oh, don't pay me nothing, but then the minute you do something out of line, motherfucker, you let go.
Well, listen, I've been a musician all my life. I've been an artist, producer. So I've gone through hard times. I've gone through times where I didn't have a place to stay. But what I found is that any place that you have that is your own place that you have a key to, there's always somebody who will be willing to sleep there if you'll let them. And they are willing to have a relationship with you to sleep there if you'll let them. You know what I mean? If you have your own stuff. So if you meet somebody and you say, oh, I'd love to have you by the house, but I live with roommates, that person's never going to want to live with you. It's never going to come up. But if you say, yeah, I got my own place up here in Brooksville, then it seems that the conversation goes to, at some point, you know, I'm wondering if I can stay there, or could I shack there, or could I, blah, 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 blah. It's just what people do, and there's plenty of girls that do it as much as guys. I think girls in Vegas, and I hate to just keep putting it on Vegas, but it never really happened. Like, I lived in LA where I didn't have so many girls that wanted to shack up. Like, I could, as we're having this conversation, I can count and lose track of on my fingers how many people in the last 3 years have tried to be moving in unasked. I didn't ask them to move in. I've never
And
asked them.
the crazy thing about it is, it's like, okay, so not so much frowning on the independent artist musician lifestyle of not being able to really have like your own house and like, I get it because I've been a musician majority of my life, and just a freelancer here and there, and it took me some time to bloom took me some time to actually get on my feet and whatnot. But the whole thing with the homosexualizing thing is just be intense. Be intense and not do right by the person who has your back. If you're gonna move in with somebody, my dude, be loyal, be straight up, be honest, be loving, be caring. You know what I'm saying? Because when somebody lets you in their home, they're letting you into their entire life. They're letting your energy mix with their energy, mix with their, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, but aside from all the bad shit that can happen from letting somebody just move in with you not knowing them, you know what I'm saying? Let's just take a normal situation where, it's just, turns out to be, oh, he's just this way. He just hops from couch to couch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have some type of level of gratitude and respect. You can't just go hopping from couch to couch thinking that everybody got a fucking problem but you.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we're clearly talking about people that are having romantic relationships, not roommate situations where you pay to rent a place, but that's what it is. We're talking about people who get into a relationship with you based on the fact that you have some things they don't have and they want to come up off your things, right? It is a big problem in the Vegas community with people having their own stability. And so much so to where, like, I met a lady that I'm interested in, and I say first off the bat, there's a checklist in my mind. Is she working? She's got her own stability. She's got her this, she's got her that. Okay, cool. I'm still interested because I'm not looking to maintain another adult person's life unless, of course, that person is my wife and we have children together. That's a different story. But as far as taking an adult person on, why can't this person get their own job? Why can't this person make some money? I mean, I don't have a problem with this person if I'm intimate and we're seeing each other a couple of nights a week. That's one thing. But I like to be able to have the place to myself, too. I like to be able to not have this person underfoot, probably, because if I did want that person underfoot, then I'd put a ring on her finger and marry her. Now, like I said, I did stay with a girlfriend in her house for years. And I made clear when I came in, I said, look, here's how I roll. I'm not about that rent. Like, don't come hit me and say we're supposed to split the rent because I move in. I will do dishes. I will buy groceries. I will take the car and get it fixed. I will put gas in the car. I will do things that are helpful, but I don't want this to feel like I'm renting a room from you because we're boyfriend, girlfriend. Now, when we're not boyfriend, girlfriend, that's a different story. I'm probably going to move out. But while we're boyfriend and girlfriend, I don't want to be hit with, I owe you $60 for the cable bill. I don't owe you shit for the cable bill. I'm your man and you're my lady and we just pay the cable bill. I'll pay it sometimes, you pay it sometimes, and it gets paid. That's what's up. But don't make it like I'm staying at the Arms Hotel because I'm not. I'm your man. And that should stand for something. And the same thing, I would never ask my lady, you're my girlfriend, but yo, you owe me this much money for rent this month. No. Now, in a situation where these couch surfers pop up, they weren't on my lease. They weren't people who had the right to a key. They were supposedly my girlfriend, but they were staying for 3 and 4 days until eventually they were trying to live there. And I have an issue with that. Like, don't be trying to live up in the place. Like, that's not what we're doing. My name is the one on the lease. I'm the one that's in trouble. I've even had girls solicit services like, well, the girl said, I'm a massage therapist and I'm going to need to practice. So if I move in, then, you're going to get free massages. Nah, I don't want no free massages, homie. Just pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? I don't need no free massage.
That happens a whole lot.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
To go off a little bit to the sidebar. Have you ever gone to therapy?
To therapy? Yes, absolutely. I'm a firm believer in therapy. I have a therapist now, but she's a friend, but she's still, if I need to talk to somebody, she makes separate from friend time to say, I've got 30 minutes. What's on your mind? Because you have to. There's just too much stuff going on in this world, and you can't always call your mother. You know what I mean? You need to talk to somebody who's level-headed, who's objective, not involved in the situation at all, that can give you some advice, especially now. You know, when I
Mhm.
say now, I'm referring to during pandemic. There are so many
Yeah.
emotional things that are happening to people now. You feel like a loser. You lost your job. You can't satisfy your wife. You can't keep this. I mean, there's so many things, and it all has to do with the feeling of worthiness. You don't
Yeah.
feel worthy. You feel like, what the fuck? I was working. I was doing this. I was about to get a promotion, and now look at me. Now I'm going to a food bank at my age. I'm trying to explain to my kids why we can't go and do soccer this year. This affects a lot of people deeply, deeply, far
Yeah.
more deeply than it affects me because I don't have that much shit. But I
Yeah.
imagine a person who has a family of four with a 401k plan, and they've been living this last couple of months off of the savings that's now starting to run low, and the government's
Yeah.
not getting ready to give them any money, and the unemployment check is going to stop coming. You only get 12 weeks unemployment, you know?
Wow.
So, yeah, for that individual, I think, yeah, there's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong. It's just talking to somebody. It doesn't mean you're broken.
You believe, okay, so clearly you've expressed right now that you believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you believe in therapy in a sense of things that are happening now. But what about the things that have happened to you in the past that have affected your relationship with, let's see, you have children, right?
Oh, yeah, I have children.
Why is this so slow?
And that I have to
Okay,
say,
so let's say, the therapy, the,
therapy saved my life. I took, well, I have throughout the years taken therapy, but when I lived in LA last, which would have been 7, 8 years ago, I took therapy because I was an angry man. I was going through a lot of stuff during those years, and it seemed like there was one year in particular. It seemed like I could not keep a job no matter what. I could not
mhm,
keep a job. I got fired from more jobs than I can ever remember. Like if I my life depended on it, I couldn't tell you how many jobs I lost that year. I just lost every job. And the therapy that I took at the time helped me considerably. It helped me look at life differently. And you may notice I'm always posting positive things. I always stay positive because that's part of my therapy. There's no reason for me to run around and be angry all the time because you're angry at what? Who you mad at? You can't fix it by being mad. Being mad never fixed anything, you know? So I take a positive look at where I'm at. I realize what my options are, and sometimes the options are bleak. Like during this pandemic, options have been bleak. Some days I've literally had to say, the best thing I can do today is go back to sleep and wait to hear something else because otherwise I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be walking around in ringer all day long, just mad. I'm mad at the president. I'm mad at the government. I'm mad at white folks. I'm fucking mad. I'm just mad. Well, so what? What you going to do? Being mad ain't going to help you?
it's good to have anger though. It's good to experience anger. It's good to process anger. It's good to it's good to have anger. But I just, what we talked about earlier in the podcast, aside from the homosexuals, was therapy and how men, sometimes feel like they don't need therapy. Like guys don't, the guys be like, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? And you're like,
Yeah.
no, because you got to understand that sometimes uh, damage will show in behavior.
That's
Damage will show in how you treat somebody without even realizing it. Damage will show in how you argue with somebody. Damage will show in how you perceive things from other people. Because if you're damaged and you've had trauma, you're always going to feel like somebody's attacking you. And it could
yeah.
be the simplest shit as them just trying to express their feelings to you.
Yeah, but I do think, I mean, and this is just my thought, but I think men have changed in the last 15 years.
How
And
so?
I would attribute it more to just the coming out of gay rights and men softening a bit. Because men used to be real hard. Like when I was a kid, a man was a macho. You had to be macho. You had to be tough. It was part of what a man was. And somewhere in the 80s, early 90s, men started to become more sensitive, more sentimental, and it became okay for men to cry. It became okay for a man to say, I need help. And even rugged, strong men like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, are sensitive men who will cry, and that wasn't the case when I was a kid growing up. You did not see men crying. Men didn't cry. It just wasn't. What are you, a sissy? You a punk? What are you crying for, punk? You better step it up. And it wasn't what men do. But I think
Lord.
that now more than ever, it's okay. Like you even see people on the news, like the governor of some state starts crying because people aren't wearing masks, and he starts crying, and you sympathize with that. Whereas 20 years ago, that wouldn't have played well. That wouldn't have played well at all. You don't be crying. So I don't know about that. I think now, speaking of the therapy though, one good thing that's happened, there was a therapist on talking about stress levels during the pandemic. And she said something I thought was brilliant. She said, take an hour a day. I think I told you this in a private conversation too. She said, take an hour a day and go out and just run it out, yell it out, curse it out. There's nothing wrong with that. Take time out of your day to just let whatever is bothering you, face it head on. It's fine. But just an hour. Like, don't spend the whole day. Get it out of your system, make a space for it, deal with it, be angry about it, be pissed about it, but get over it, because
Yeah.
it's going to change how it's going to
You
change.
can't stay there. You just can't stay there because staying there is it has effects on the body and the nervous system and then it affects your health and whatnot. But I feel that I've actually started taking. I have this beautiful path behind my apartment complex, and it goes for miles. It just goes for miles, and it's just surrounded by trees and some of my trees and water and paths, and it's just really serene and it's really nice. So I've been doing that, and I do feel a sense of just calmness over me now. Just kind of like
And that's a
I'm
good feeling.
have the energy to do much else, to
That's a real
bitch and
good feeling.
complain. It
Yeah.
ain't
Because no
so.
matter what, you can deal with it. No matter what it is, you're going to deal with it, however you deal with it. But
I
some,
mean, the minute you can't deal with it, you die, so you won't even know.
exactly, exactly. And on
No,
that
but
note, right, exactly.
yeah, on that note, we're gonna wrap this up because I don't want it to be too long and have people just listening for the rest of their lives to my voice, my beautiful voice. But
Yes.
thank you, Mr. Michaels,
It's
for
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
no problem. Join in next time. Nadia Blest will be coming back with plenty more to talk about, whether it's real, relevant, and just what's going on, man. Talk to me. Tell me what's on your mind. All right, Ace, take
Thank
us
you.
out.
Thank you so much for having me, Nadia.
Mhm.